Good morning, friends. How's that? Any better? OBEJournal 2019, number 11, I believe, with the rain pattering slightly on the window. Don't suppose you can hear that, though, can you? You'll be wondering what we're doing today, or this morning, or last night, as we pursue our interests in what goes on outside of this fleshy body when the consciousness is projected to any number of places, situations, spheres of activity. We can certainly see the planes, the spirit planes, as spheres of activity, because there is activity in all the planes, whether it be human, non-human, elemental, devic, angelic, formless energies that know no definition. Tiny particles at the subquantum level. Everywhere there is activity, interaction, relationship, identity. Except for the places where there is no identity. But there always seems to be relationship and activity. One can go down to the very small, one can go up to the very large. One can climb a few steps on the rungs on the ladder and go to where the dead people are, the happy dead people. The fulfilled, living their eternal life, whether they realize it's eternal or merely a stop off on the way back to another life. Many of them there are just happy to be there. They do not wish to ponder about what's next or what's past. They're having their holidays in heaven, as one of the books I read, channeled books I read, called it. And that's not inaccurate. For many millions, that's exactly what it is. They may pay lip service to a certain religious belief. They may not be intense or fanatical about it, but they will pay lip service in order to belong to a certain belief structure, to feel like they're part of the community and not some maverick or rebel. And of course, there are many who are more than happy to be mavericks and rebels and hew their own path. There's many belief systems to either pay lip service to, ignore, or find out that they were there all along and you didn't know. Political belief systems are often like that. The whole gamut of socialism and capitalism and communism and all the shades of right and left in between. Once in heaven, those don't seem quite so important. The social contract sort of takes care of itself because people cannot be herded about or bullied in the way that they can here. They can't be told what to do. They often follow family and cultural patterns, but there's no adherence to rules and regulations. There's politeness, there's understanding, there's kindness, and yet there doesn't have to be, because there is no need for resources or sharing or real estate or investment. That's all gone. It takes a while to realize, of course. It takes quite a while for some folks. Years. They will have pretend real estate, pretend money, pretend possessions. I mean, people with many possessions there. People have lovely houses. Even people with small condos and apartments are beautifully executed and, what's the word I'm looking for? Decorated and redecorated at whims, because it's all done with the mind. You know, what's a blue room one day can be a pink room the next, or an orange room, or a multicolored room, or a spare Zen-like space with a fake plastic tree and some rocks and a view out to the mountains. Clutter? Oh, you can have clutter. Oh, yes. Clutter, clutter, clutter if you want it. I probably have some of that myself, being as I live in a sort of movable library here. I can imagine, well, I know what my spirit world cottage is like. It's been described in More Adventures in Eternity. It's quite a lovely spot. And very rural and very in the forest. Deep sea green, cottagey, French chateau on the back. It was a mini French chateau on the back. That's for musical performances. But endless spheres of activity. This is what we need to remember. Even the formless energy planes, which I've spoken of and guided you to on more than one occasion, are filled with activity, even though you can't see it too easily. It's there, kind of writing underneath. There is no place where there is no life or activity. There are vacant, desolate spots on the lower astral, as you've heard or even know. Deserty, rocky, clammy, dark, smelly places with not much going on. But there would be rock, there would be sand, there would be pebbles of some kind. Makeshift huts, lean-tos, you know. But there is no nothing. There is no end or lack or, I'm tempted to use the word vacuum, but our scientists tend to use the word the vacuum of space. I'm not sure how accurate my perception is of that, but I'm a little reluctant to use the word vacuum. There's a great emptiness in galactic space between planets and stars. But one can traverse that also quickly by the power of thought. Let's check that out. So just make yourself comfortable, as we always do at this time in the morning. And let yourself sit back and relax wherever you are. Headphones if necessary. Let us do an instant thought transfer to the surface of the moon. Okay, let's do that now. You've been here before. we've checked this out. There's not a lot going on, but there is dust. There are rocks that are, dips in the land, little, I wouldn't call them mountains, hills, all sorts of interesting geological features, but, a little dull compared to Earth. Not the variety, not the diversity, not the, what's the word, exploding with life that we have here every inch of the way. So we're standing on the surface of the moon. Look up at the stars. Look up at those lights, twinkling, sparkling. There's an immensity of starlight out there. Just take that in for a minute or two. Are you filled with wonder? Are you filled with amazement? Or is it, oh yeah, been there, done that? And if you've been to the moon a few times and looked at the stars, there's a certain element of that. You can feel tiny in the immensity of the universe. And you can also go, yeah, I've seen that before. There's a tendency to do that with all of us, I live by the, on physical plane, I live by the Lake Ontario, which is an immensely beautiful, long lake. One of the Great Lakes of North America. And you can, I've looked at it a gazillion times, and I've experienced its essence, I believe, and some of the nature spirits that live in and on it, and the deva that hovers above it, over Toronto and the lake. Can get a bit, a little bit, yeah, been there, done that a few times. Where's the t-shirt? So, it's a replicable state. And, just think on that for just a moment. We can be, oh, wow, and we can be, oh, yeah, almost at the same time. So, how about turning back and looking back at the Earth? Have a look at Mother Earth. Have a look at Gaia. This is the womb and bosom of our physical lives as humans. And for this, we should be grateful. We are grateful. It is our home, and our home away from home, as they say. It is a garden tended for us by others, and sometimes by us. We take turns looking after it when we're not human. We may do a very small role in physical plane maintenance, but we do check it out. There are courses you can take, if you wish, especially when you're dead. Earth plane maintenance. I'm sure you can file it under Google somewhere. Looking fondly back to Earth, the beauty of its colors floating in space. Now that is the physical plane Earth, beauty as it is. That is not the spirit plane Earth. When we go to that looks completely different. And you're going to say, well, Gordon, how do we go to that? How do we change dimensions? Well, the answer is we just do it. I think you've heard that phrase before, just do it. And let's go to the mid-astral planes, similar to the astral city we were at before. Pick a spot that you would like to go to. Is it a pond by a forest? Is it a waterfall by a mountainside? Is it a stately park by a stately home in which everything is laid out carefully by many gardeners? Is it like a wild northern forest like one we have here called Algonquin Park, where you have to portage your canoe and slice away at vines to get by? What is your favorite spot, or do you have many? Pick one and go there. I see some of you are at the Grand Canyon. Well, that's just as impressive a spot as any other. And the great craggy beauty of it all. It is indeed marvelous. I'm not there, but I'm sensing that some of you are there. Some of you are at that area in Japan where all the temples are. That temple neighborhood, is it Kyoto? I apologize for my ignorance. I know it exists. I've seen films of it. And obviously, I've been there. But the sense of peace and serenity is quite remarkable. Are some of you thinking about those Peruvian shamans and ayahuasca? And sitting up all night throwing up till you have the vision? The vision of whatever you need to have a vision of, I suppose. Don't let my slightly mocking tone put you off if that's where you'd like to go. It always seems like it's more trouble than it's worth to me, but I'm one of these lazy Westerners that wants everything in a pill form. Just sit me down and give me a pill and I'll take the vision right there. These various medicines we take to make us well, to make us better, to make us more, to open us up, they're all useful. As my father would say, in moderation. And these little side trips that we're taking now, they're all very useful in moderation too. Always reminding you that there is something otherly marvelous than the usual humdrum unfolding of daily life as one goes through one's chores in the morning and eats and goes to work and does our work and comes back, conducts our social activities, that does seem humdrum. And these little pills of adventure that we take certainly make it all worthwhile, do they not? So in your favorite spot, wherever it is enjoy the moment as it passes. As a Facebook friend said of her father, who is slowly declining in mental stability, I'm enjoying the moment. Every increment of every second as it flips by with all its seemingly random contents. Let us savor each one. Perhaps you're listening to a waterfall. Perhaps you're looking at butterflies. Perhaps you're sitting with your deceased mother, ever so glad that she's there. These are all choices we can make anytime we have a spare, I would say at least 15 minutes. An hour would be better. But never forget, once one's attained a certain level of stability and harmony in one's daily meditation, these projections are easily available. They're not harder than you think they are. They're easier. You can be there. As we are there now. Ask yourself in your favorite spot, wherever it may be, is this one of my spots from before I was born, who I am now? Has this been a refuge for me on many occasions? Is this where I came when I needed to escape the pressures of incarnation? Is this where I might come in some foreseeable or unforeseeable future? Let us feel the qualities that bind us to this refuge, whatever they are. The calmness, the quietness, the birdsong, the splashing water, the wind in the leaves, the stillness. What are the qualities that make us so welcomed and comforted? As we ponder on those, let us remember that these qualities can be replicated by us in our creative abilities to manifest qualities. And as I speak of that, you may say, oh, he is being awfully overconfident when he says that. But here we are now doing it, and I should let me just reference the fact that it's about 5:30 in the morning, and when I awakened at about 3:30, a couple of hours ago, and after doing my bodily functions, I lay in bed quietly for an hour with the usual random slush of thoughts floating by, and wondering what to do with myself, and thinking, oh yes, I'll fall asleep. Oh no, I didn't. And so there was a bit of sort of mixed up confusion there, to quote an old Bob Dylan song. But here I am, focused. So I slip from one to the other in the course of a couple of hours. The usual, what'll I do tomorrow? What did I do yesterday? Did I get it done? Did I forget something? What am I going to forget tomorrow? The usual silliness that flies through your head at 3:30 in the morning. But here I am with you in your favorite place, wherever it may be, and we are calm and serene and contemplating the qualities that make us feel this way, and knowing that we can generate those qualities of our own volition. And for those of you who are with departed loved ones, feel no secondary status. If that is your joy and that is your serenity, then so be it. There is no serenity that's any more serene than any other. There is no joy greater than yours. I haven't even said where I am, and it doesn't really matter. I have my favorite spots, just like anyone else, that I have noted and bookmarked, as we say in the modern world. Understand that you do come here to these spots on the astral when you feel the need, whether you remember it or not. And now I would ask, as you wallow in the joys of your favorite spot, let us remember that we can leave and come back. There is never a rule that says you can't do that. There is always movement. There is always change. What's that song by Yes? You'll see perpetual change. That is the nature of our existence. Perpetual change of thought, emotion, ideation, purpose, ambition, form. Perpetual change. We are not one thing, we are many things. We are many processes. We are many planets all to ourselves. And I'm sure you've all read the odd article about the little creatures living in your skin and going, ooh, don't know if I want that, but they're there. They're microscopic, and they have active lives, and they do stuff. So we are hosts for many life forms within our bodies, as the planet is a host for many life forms within its body. We are many planets. As we get into our cars and drive to work, we are many planets. Let us take our volition, our ambition, our desire, our need to move, and now we will go, at my suggestion, to merge, or at least visit, if you don't feel like merging with higher self, but let's go and visit higher self. I know lots of you like to do that, or want to do it, or think about doing it, and have experiences of various visionary constructs appearing ahead of you, whether they be people, buildings, landscapes, and you think to yourself, yes, I'm inside this situation, but it is a visual construct of higher self. It is not actually higher self. It is a manifestation of higher self's creativity. And in that, I suspect you are right. We take these visual constructs of higher self because we feel that we are not quite ready for the naked truth of higher self, if I may use that phrase. We feel they were not quite up to it yet. So we construct with our projections a visual representation of some of the magic of higher self, an aspect of it. So, as you find yourself approaching or merging with higher self, just allow yourself to experience whatever that higher self chooses to be. I've had various imagistic representations of higher self myself. Sometimes it's a bit like a hotel with various past lives living in various rooms, and they'll come out to see you and say hello in their fashion. You know, they'll come from other centuries, they'll have other habits and attitudes. But they have transcended that incarnation and are sort of like mechanical models of themselves. And when I say mechanical, I don't mean robotic. I mean sort of activated ghost or something. I'm not quite sure. And all these metaphors are inadequate, I understand. They are real. They are functioning. They are there to greet you. I hope you're enjoying your higher self. If you are feeling yourself in an empty space with, I don't know, cloudy light floating about, that too is higher self. It's not a lack of higher self, it's that part of higher self that you're willing to let yourself see. And if you're saying, oh, Gordon, this is all too weird for me, then so be it. Let it be weird. Let it entertain you with its weirdness. But know that you are out there exploring. That is part of your consciousness that is projected out there. It is gone. Like a beam of light coming from your third eye. You are a magician. You can do these things. It is not the preserve of characters in Harry Potter films. The Harry Potter films are there to remind us of how magical life can be. And the journey goes on as you take your leave from higher self, and it certainly understands why you're going. Let us remember how the consciousness of the mainstream is slowly expanding. It's not just us mavericks out there exploring. Everyone's getting a taste of it. Whether it's just a taste of another culture because of immigrants and refugees and the diversity of ethnic foods available all over the planet, or whether it's the mini-series, the popular mini-series like Game of Thrones that has been, I don't know, translated into how many languages and is shared by millions? Or the popularity of Major League Sports. I understand Manchester United's got more fans in China than in England. You see how the world culture is expanding on all levels. And let's get into the internet if you want. There's an international multiculturalism at our fingertips, always now. If we choose to remain narrow-minded in our little village neighborhood of consciousness, that's our choice. But I would say even in the major cities around the world now, that's nearly impossible to do because every neighborhood is multicultural, or almost so. And you can stay within your narrow-minded concepts of whatever, society, religion, economic status, professional ambitions. You can stay within all that. My kids go to that school, your kids go to that school, and I don't like the school that your kids go to. You can stay there. But the internationalism of diverse consciousness is at your fingertips, always. And we hear that many more places, rural, remote places, are getting the internet, so it's opening up for them too. And this is the spread of cosmic consciousness at a fairly low level, yes, but it is the beginning. It is the movement toward cosmic consciousness, where we will eventually understand that we are all explorers of consciousness on many levels, not just this one. Many cultures, many epochs, many planets. We go through them all. And when we've had our fill of experience and ambition and desire, then we, become spirit guides, become elevated spirits on new planets where there are young souls that need guidance and cultures that need building. It just goes on and on and on. And be assured that is nothing but what I have described. All that end of the show scenario stuff, whether it's political or environmental or any other fear-based syndrome, it's all wrong, all of it. We are changeless beings, changing through eternity. Taking off jackets, putting on cardigans, taking off hats, waving hello. We'll see perpetual change. And I hope you enjoyed that journey, because I sure did.